The sweetest way to pay is with SugaPay. SugaPay, SugaPay. At the end of the day, SugaPay, the savings will blow you away. Cause it's the safest way to pay. Use your card and
fill up your tank and take out your friends and shop for your food. Reload it again. Nails and hair, clothes for you for wear. No worries, our fear. SugaPay is here.
You can use your card anywhere. It's accepted everywhere. We have the cheapest rates. You'll feel safe. You can be a merchant in the easiest way. So contact us and sign up today with SugaPay.
The 2018 Inter-Secondary School Debate Series continues. Welcome to the final encounter in the first round of competition, brought to you by the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology and SugaPay. Thank you to our studio and television audiences for joining us this evening. In this final encounter of the first round, Trinity Academy and Jennings Secondary School will debate the moot, formal education is necessary for success in the 21st century. Let me introduce to you the members of both teams, starting with the proposition, Team Trinity Academy.
Good evening, my name is Kathy Francis and I will be your first speaker.
Good evening, my name is Melissa Carter and I will be your second speaker.
Good evening, my name is Kazai Daniel and I will be standby.
Thank you very much, Team Trinity Academy. Now the opposition, Team Jennings Secondary School.
Good evening, my name is Kadia Johnson and I will be the first speaker.
Good evening, my name is Makita Lawrence and I will be the second speaker.
Good afternoon, my name is Deshaun Shan, I'll be a standby.
There is a panel of judges in place who will select the final school in the first round that will advance in the competition. The judges this evening are University Lecturer Dr. Jackie Quinn, Hospitality Educator Ursula Charles Jr., and Educator Takessa Simon. This evening's timekeeper is Aisha Lynch. By now, debaters may be familiar with the rules of the competition. However, allow me to remind you that any judge can award a maximum 40 points for content, 30 points for delivery, 20 points for rebuttal, and teamwork, 10 points, for an overall total of 100 points. The proposition's first speaker, Kathy Ann Francis, will begin the debate, followed by Kadia Johnson of Jennings Secondary School. We will then move on to the second speakers from each team. First speakers will be given 5 minutes for their presentations, and second speakers 3 minutes. Following the presentations, we will move on to rebuttals. In that segment, 3 minutes will be given to each debater. We'll pause at this time to hear from our sponsor. When we come back, the competition will begin.
The sweetest way to pay is with SugaPay. SugaPay, SugaPay. At the end of the day, SugaPay, the savings will blow you away. Cause it's the safest way to pay. Use your card and
fill up your tank and take out your friends and shop for your food. Reload it again. Nails and hair, clothes for you for wear. No worries, our fear. SugaPay is here.
you can use your card anywhere. It's accepted everywhere. We have the cheapest rates. You'll feel safe. You can be a merchant in the easiest way. So contact us and sign up today with SugaPay.
Welcome back to the 2018 Inter-Secondary School Debate Series. The moot selected for this encounter between Trinity Academy and Jennings Secondary School is formal education is necessary for success in the 21st century. Now, for the commencement of this encounter, please welcome the first speaker from the proposition, Kathy Ann Francis of Trinity Academy.
Sir Moderator, judges, listening and viewing audience, colleagues, good evening. In this encounter, we will debate the moot, formal education is necessary for success in the 21st century. I will discuss the benefits of formal education and how it contributes to success, while my colleague will present arguments showing the inadequacy of informal education as a standalone pathway to success. Allow me to define some key terms. According to Dr. Sarah Eaton, a noted educational leader, researcher, and author in collaboration with the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and I quote, "Formal education is characterized by being organized and guided by a formal curriculum. It is also recognized by the government at some level." End of quote. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, and I quote, "Necessary is defined as absolutely needed, required, compulsory." End of quote. According to dictionary.com, and I quote, "Success is defined as the accomplishment of aim or purpose." I will now show that there is a relationship between formal education and success. I will also provide compelling arguments that formal education must be present for success in the 21st century. Formal education provides a standardized and reliable framework for what students will know. Imagine, without knowledge, there will be no success. It is for this reason why we must control the quantity and quantity of knowledge. Look at CSEC. They have created a curriculum filled with aims, objectives, and teaching strategies. It is created by educational experts and subject specialists. It is regularly updated to ensure that students are educated with up-to-date research-driven information to make sure that students are successful members of society. Sir Moderator, judges, can you imagine an educational system not being standardized? Teachers will teach anything. One day, 2 + 2 is 4. The next, 3x - y is 6. Consider this next point. Formal education is regulated by the government, whether offered privately or by the state. A successful society cannot be built by individuals who depend on suspicion or folklore. It is for this reason why the government must take charge to ensure that citizens are educated with quality information. My opponents may point at drug dealers who have trappings of success, that is, wealth and fame. Some might suggest that an individual can be successful without formal education. A drug dealer lifestyle should not be deemed as successful. It does not demonstrate the ideals of society, honesty, and integrity. A successful business person in this field still has to draw on the formal education he or she gained. One does not learn how to read on the streets. The principle of weighing and counting cannot be gaining merely by experience. Indeed, we can learn from experience and in our environment. If money is the yardstick used for success, the more formal education a person receives, the more successful they become. In 2013, commentary CNN reporter Don Lemon stated, and I quote, that in the US, the average high school dropout earns $19,000 a year, a high school graduate earns $28,000 a year, and a college graduate earns $51,000 a year. The value of formal education and its necessity as an agent for success is underscored by the fact that the Education Act of Antigua and Barbuda states that children between the ages of 5 to 16 must receive a formal education. Formal education is necessary for success in the 21st century because it provides a standardized and reliable framework for what students will know, and it is regulated by the government. Opponents, do you still think that formal education is not necessary for success in the 21st century? I thank you.
Thank you very much, Kathy and Francis. The first speaker from the proposition, Trinity Academy. Kathy Ann completed her presentation in a time of 4 minutes, 38 seconds. Now, for the first speaker from the opposition, please welcome Kadia Johnson, Jennings Secondary School.
Mr. Moderator, honorable judges, viewing and listening audiences, opponents, a pleasant good evening. My colleague and I are here to oppose the topic, formal education is not necessary for success in the 21st century. But before we present our discourse, let us examine the key words in this moot. What is formal education? It is institutionalized learning. It is the ability to think or process information in an academic setting or environment. In addition, the degree or diploma rewarded only states that you are trainable in one particular area. Steve Roy Jacobs, one of our own local math educators, is the source of this information. Other key terms in this moot are necessary and success. My colleague and I researched these terms and discovered that necessary was defined in an online Merriam dictionary as something absolutely necessary or required, such as the basic requirements of life: food, water, and clothing. And success was cited as the aim or accomplishment of a goal or a purpose of a favorable or desired outcome. To continue, I will look at the practical skills from a tradesman point of view and the innate ability, while my colleague will convince you to look at self-education as means of living a successful life. Opponents, success in life doesn't mean that you must be formally educated. Do you know what me and my colleague did a search, and do you know what we found out? My worthy opponents, my colleagues and I canvassed the streets of our various communities and spoke at the length of A-level mechanics, carpenters, masons, and builders, the ones building the beautiful homes and businesses all over the nation. Do you know what we found out? They had no formal education, yet their success stories were quite similar and caused us to shed a tear or two. Could you believe we foolishly thought that you needed a degree to be successful in life? No, my worthy opponents, it is not necessary. Furthermore, we took time out to contact Mr. George Ryan, a self-made millionaire in this country, one of our local contractors who has contributed significantly to the progress and productivity of this country. In our interview, this practical and humble man told us that he learned from the best tradesmen of all time, but the key element to his success was his connection with God. Let us now look at V.C. Bird, the father of the nation, a man of worth and intellectual being. He had no formal structure of education, yet was able to transform Antigua and Barbuda, propelling it into statehood and independence. He will forever be remembered for his great contribution to this country. My worthy opponents, that is success. Another self-made man is Professor Ned Well, a scientist of renown and authority in solar wind energy. This local son of the soil made headlines in Jersey City 1981 for his introduction in solar energy and his use of low-voltage electricity. This brilliant star had no formal education, yet he was able to accomplish much. My second point this evening is the innate desire, what we were born with, the willpower to be successful in life. Without, I stress, without any formal education. We were all born with a special DNA. We were all born with a special DNA, and it was deposited in us from the very beginning by God. That means God had us on his mind. That he had purpose and destiny already designed to each one of us, which did not include any form or fashion of formal education. The great Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle cite that if you are in complete relationship and in order with your God, you can predict the heavenly movements. This is where our inspiration comes from. This is also a prime example of our innate ability to be in harmony with God, which individuals through faith can obtain throughout their lifespan on earth. Opponents, judges, my examples would have proven to you that formal education is not needed to be who God wants you to be. I wish to stress that wisdom is found in the simplest of places, right in the nick of time. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Kadia Johnson, Jennings Secondary School. The first speaker for the opposition, Kedia completed her presentation in a time of 4 minutes, 28 seconds. Now for the second speaker from the proposition, please welcome Melissa Carter.
My colleague has offered several reasons that formal education is a necessity for success. I will support her argument by discussing why this is especially true in the 21st century. The 21st century is about fast-paced living. What does this mean? It means that 21st century citizens want to see more, do more, experience more, and learn more in as little time as possible. This is what formal education allows. In the absence of formal education, trial and error becomes the main feature. New learning is gained as a person figures out that he has made an error and has come up with a new plan to address his problem. But in the 21st century, do we really want to wait for people to figure things out? No. Would you trust your life to a pilot who promises to figure out how to try to fly a plane, or one who is formally educated in the field? Would you trust your life to a surgeon who claims to have practice on his pets and is confident that he can figure out how to transplant your organs? Or would you choose one who has been formally educated in years of medical school? It is hard to expect that a surgeon or pilot without formal education would have a successful career. Neither should we expect them to be successful in the execution of their duties. In the absence of formal education, learning occurs as a result of experience. This means that persons' learning is restricted by the length of time they've lived, as well as the experience they have had in their life. Consider this point. In the absence of formal education on a small island such as Antigua, we might never know anything about the broader global environment. Perhaps we would think that every landmass is an island. Perhaps we would think that every country is surrounded by white sand beaches. Perhaps we would think that every country experiences almost all year-round sunshine. Without formal education, we would think these things because these are our experiences. How successful would our citizens be with this limited understanding of the world? Formal education allows a learner to gain knowledge through what he is able to experience in his environment. Formal education is the most efficient way to gain the knowledge necessary for success in this century. Though we agree that there is a value in in-life experience, success will only be achieved when it is combined with formal education. And this is my ending.
Thank you very much, Melissa Carter, Trinity Academy's second speaker. She completed her presentation in a time of 2 minutes, 56 seconds. And now to the second speaker from the opposition, Jennings Secondary School. Please welcome Makeda Lawrence.
A pleasant good evening. A pleasant good evening, Mr. Moderator, honorable judges. All protocols has been established. Formal education is not necessary for the success in the 21st century. My colleague dealt with the practical skills and the innate ability. I will now convince you that many of our world's most successful citizens were self-taught. Self-education today is made possible through the internet, video sharing sites such as YouTube. However, many of our self-taught success stories did not come by that use in the olden days. For example, take a good look at our very own, better known as the Burning Flames. They launched both locally and internationally. For their sweet lyrical content, displayed in the past and up to this very day. And to think that they never sat in the caverns at any musical school or wrote any formal exam, yet still this band, with its unique flavor, was and still is able to dominate the music industry both locally and worldwide. Another local example is our well-loved sports icon, Sir Vivian Richards. He never went to cricket school as many of the English greats did, but he was able to dominate the music industry and put Antigua and Barbuda on the world map, using his hands' simple and natural talent. My worthy opponent, I'm not forgetting the legends, the prophet Bob Marley and the brother Marcus Garvey. These great men never went to any formal tertiary level school, but because of that innate ability and self-education, they were able to revolutionize the black race. They were able to write their songs and great speeches without any form of high-level education. Internationally, Malcolm X, one of the greatest civil rights activists, was a self-taught man. He never finished high school, but was able to lead thousands of black people in the United States to break from off the tentacles of colonialism. I wish to end my discourse by reminding you that many local unschooled entrepreneurs have built this nation. Formal education is simple and system designed by our colonial masters to keep us black people in mental servitude. In addition, formal education is good, but we must reiterate that it is not needed for success in the 21st century. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Makeda Lawrence, Jennings Secondary School's second speaker from the opposition. Makeda completed her presentation in a time of 2 minutes, 27 seconds. We will pause at this time to hear from our sponsor. The rebuttal segment comes up next. Stay tuned.
The sweetest way to pay is with SugaPay. SugaPay, SugaPay. At the end of the day, SugaPay. The savings will blow you away. Cause it's the safest way to pay. Use your card and
Fill up your tank and take out your friends and shop for your food. Reload it again. Nails and hair, clothes for you for wear. No worries, our fear, SugaPay is here.
you can use your card anywhere. SugaPay. It's accepted everywhere. We have the cheapest rates. You'll feel safe. You can be a merchant in the easiest way. So contact us and sign up today with SugaPay.
Welcome back. This is the final encounter in the first round of the 2018 Intersecondary School Debate Series. The rebuttal segment is about to begin. In this round, a maximum 20 points can be awarded to any team. We'll begin with the opposing team's Makeda Lawrence, Jennings Secondary School. Makeda will be given 3 minutes to complete her presentation.
Good evening once again. Good evening once again, Mr. Moderator and my worthy opponents. To an extent, education is not necessary for success in the 21st century. It doesn't matter where you come from. Once you have that talent and the humanity that God has blessed you with, you are capable of becoming anything without any education. Most people are born with talent or ability. Only few take time out to go to tertiary institution to further their education. So why waste parents' money when there are sites in the 21st century to home train your child and is able to give them the necessary knowledge, send them to tertiary education? My worthy opponent, in your statement, it was stated that high amount of monies will be given to the person of high education. But look at the salary of a teacher and a self-entrepreneur. Self-entrepreneurs, they have their own business, whereas they make their own money. Whereas teachers, they're on the government, where they get less payment. I thank you.
Thank you very much to Makeda Lawrence, Jennings Secondary School, starting the rebuttal segment of our encounter this evening. She completed her presentation in a time of 1 minute 45 seconds. To end the rebuttals, please welcome Melissa Carter, Trinity Academy.
Good afternoon.
Sir Moderator, judges, worthy opponents, you have stated that formal education is not necessary for success in the 21st century. You have given so many examples, such as V.C. Bird, Burning Flames, Malcolm X, etc. Let us take a closer look at V.C. Bird. He was not a leader in the 21st century. What was expected back then is not the qualities accepted now. But yet, V.C. Bird attended primary school. So is that not a form of formal education as stated in your definition? You also spoke about carpenters and construction workers. I would like to believe that they have attended primary school. In primary school, you learn building blocks and drawings. Is that not the fundamentals of being a construction worker or carpenter? My opponent, you have also stated that you can learn from YouTube. But ask yourself this: can YouTube certify your learning? No, it cannot. It is for this reason my colleague and I stand firm that formal education is necessary for success in the 21st century. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Melissa Carter, Trinity Academy, ending the rebuttal segment of our encounter this evening. Melissa completed her presentation in a time of 1 minute 23 seconds. This brings us to the end of the final encounter in the first round of the 2018 Inter-Secondary School Debate Series. Please show your appreciation for both teams this evening. Do stay with us. The judge's decision is next. But first, a word from our sponsor.
The sweetest way to pay is with SugaPay. SugaPay, SugaPay. At the end of the day, SugaPay. The savings will blow you away. Cause it's the safest way to pay. Use your card and
Fill up your tank and take out your friends and shop for your food. Reload it again. Nails and hair, clothes for you for wear. No worries, our fear. SugaPay is here.
you can use your card anywhere. With SugaPay, it's accepted everywhere. We have the cheapest rates. You'll feel safe. You can be a merchant in the easiest way. So contact us and sign up today with SugaPay.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Trinity Academy and Jennings Secondary School met in this encounter. The judges have arrived at a decision to produce their findings and to make the announcement of the winning school. Please welcome Dr. Jackie Quinn.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Moderator. I present now the finding of the judges in this encounter. First of all, we felt that the standard of the debate was not as high as we expected, as we anticipated, especially with a profound topic like this. Formal education is necessary for success in the 21st century. The judges were a bit disappointed that both teams did not examine very fully, very fulsomely, formal and informal education. They also did not distinguish or differentiate those successful persons who would have made it in the 20th century and those who are now making it in the 21st century. So the distinction was not there. We felt that the students' use of grammar, how they enunciated, how they pronounced some words, could have been a little better. And we are not going to take it out on the students. On this occasion, we're going to lay the blame squarely at the trainers, the teachers. And so we have a few comments to the trainers, who some of them are here with us, and some who are watching on television. We heard, for instance, me and my colleague, instead of my colleague and I. And we heard some mispronunciations, which, if the trainers were actually going over the material with the students prior to today, they would have picked up on this and would have been able to make the necessary adjustments and corrections. We felt that some presenters were a bit jerky, not fluent in their presentation. We felt also that there were some glaring errors of fact in the presentation. And again, we lay that at the feet of the teachers, the trainers. Because if you are going over this material with your students, you would be able to say to that student that Sir Viv did not make his mark in music, and that probably is just a typo, or perhaps the student didn't pick up the line properly when reading. And also the fact that Sir Viv did not go to cricket school, but he did have a formal education. He went to the T.N. Kernan School and the Antigua Grammar School. That's formal education. We thought that students needed to not be so repetitive in their presentations. The first speaker lays the groundwork, and the second speaker should build on the work of the first speaker. So you're not going to be repeating points made by the first speaker, because you lose points like that. So we want the trainers to become more involved in the preparation, not only in the research, but the actual articulation. So once you have the script ready, the students should be reading the script out to you 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, a dozen times, as many times as possible, so they get very familiar with the script. Now, let us get to the actual scores for this evening. Oh, before I get to that, let me talk a little about the rebuttals. The rebuttals, really, that is the test of your intellectual fortitude. It shows that you are listening. You have good critical listening skills, and you are able to adequately analyze and tear apart your opponent's arguments. In our rebuttals, we saw that there was an injudicious use of time. So the students, instead of using their time wisely, they tore apart maybe 1 or 2 points and fell down in terms of how they were able to craft their rebuttals. Now, let us look at the scores. And I'm going to start with the better debater. The better debater on the propositions team was Melissa Carter. The better debater on the oppositions team, that's the Jennings Secondary, Kadia Johnson. I'm going to leave the best overall debater for the end of the presentation. Now, Jennings Secondary School was able to amass a total of 57 points out of 100, and the Trinity Academy amassed 69 out of 100. So tonight's winner is Trinity Academy. Now, it is quite unusual. In fact, Ursil has been judging debates for a number of years, even longer than I have been judging. And he said to me, it's quite rare to have the best speaker on the losing team. Tonight, we felt that this speaker was very confident. She had good flow. She was fluent. We felt that she modulated her voice well. We felt that she had the right gestures. And so, our judges adjudged Kadia Johnson from the Jennings Secondary as the best speaker for tonight's debate. Please give all of our students a rousing round of applause.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jackie Quinn. Congratulations to Team Trinity Academy. Now for closing remarks from both teams. First, from the opposition Jennings Secondary School, please welcome Kadia Johnson.
I would like to say congratulations to my opponents. You guys did a really good job. And I would like to say thank you to my trainers, thank you to the judges, thank you to the timekeepers, thank you for everyone who made this moment possible. I would just like to say a great thank you, and it wouldn't be possible without you. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Katie Ann Johnson. Now, from the winning team, Team Trinity Academy, please welcome Katian Francis.
First, I would like to thank God for giving us this opportunity and courage. I would like to thank the judges, our timekeeper. I would like to thank my trainers, the audience, and a grateful thank you to everyone.
Thank you very much, Katian Francis. We appreciate you joining us this evening. That's all the time we have. Be sure to join us in the second round of competition in this, the 2018 Intersecondary School Debate Series. Just to remind you that this series is made possible by the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology and SugaPay. So until next time, it's goodbye.
The sweetest way to pay is with SugaPay. SugaPay, SugaPay. At the end of the day, SugaPay. The savings will blow you away. Cause it's the safest way to pay. Use your card and
Fill up your tank and take out your friends and shop for your food. Reload it again. Nails and hair, clothes for you for wear. No worries, our fear. SugaPay is here.
you can use your card anywhere. SugaPay. It's accepted everywhere. We have the cheapest rates. You'll feel safe. You can be a merchant in the easiest way. So contact us and sign up today with SugaPay.
As earlier mentioned, round one has ended, and so we are preparing for round two. Just to let you know that the schools that will advance to round two of the 2018 series, the schools are Antigua Girls High School, Irene B. Williams Secondary, Antigua Grammar School, Autos Comprehensive School, and we'll also have Trinity Academy advancing. and we will have St. Anthony's Secondary, the winners of the 2017 series, receiving a bye into the second round of competition. So at this time, we will draw to determine who will come up against who in the second round of competition. And my assistant here this evening will assist me in the draw. So we will have in the second round Autos Comprehensive School, and Autos Comprehensive will serve as the proposition. We'll now draw to determine who they will come up against. So Autos Comprehensive School will come up against Antigua Grammar School will come up against Autos Comprehensive School. Autos Comprehensive School will serve as the proposition. Antigua Grammar School will serve as the opposition. Now for the second encounter in the second round of competition. Irene B. Williams Secondary. Irene B. Williams Secondary will serve as proposition in the second encounter in the second round. Antigua Girls High School will come up against Irene B. Williams Secondary. Antigua Girls High will serve as the opposition. Now for the third encounter. The third encounter, Trinity Academy, will serve as the proposition. St. Anthony's Secondary, the 2017 winners will come up against Trinity Academy. Trinity Academy will serve as proposition, and St. Anthony's Secondary School will serve as the opposition. So just to remind you, in the second round of competition, it will be Autos Comprehensive School versus Antigua Grammar School. It will be Irene B. Williams Secondary versus Antigua Girls High School, and it will be Trinity Academy against St. Anthony's Secondary School. Thank you very much to Hallie Carlisle for ably assisting me this evening. Once again, be sure to join us in the second round of this 2018 series, Intersecondary School Debate Series. Goodbye.
Don't miss the 2018 edition of the Intersecondary School Debating Competition sponsored by SugaPay.
So listen, as students across Antigua and Barbuda debate the many issues affecting us.
Be it education, health, culture, the economy, or the environment, we will dissect it for you.
So join us on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on ABS TV or on Saturday mornings for the rebroadcast.
The 2018 Intersecondary School Debate, sponsored by SugaPay, on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Join us!
Visit us on Facebook at Ministry of Education, Science and Technology-Education Broadcasting Unit.